Welcome back to Ozarks Fox AM. Kaylee is giving us some history of the Springfield downtown area. Kaylee?
That's right. Good morning, guys. The downtown square in Springfield, as we know it today, is thriving and it's functional. But what many of us don't know is how many revamps it's underwent, let alone the historical and famous architect who laid the blueprints. Here's the story of our square.
It's great to have a historic landmark here at the heart of our community.
Pinned in the National Register of Historic Places, the downtown square in Springfield has ties to a famous designer.
And not necessarily because of its design, but because it was designed by Lawrence Halprin, which is a nationally recognized landscape architect.
So famous that if you've been to the Northeast, you'll find his work between the Jefferson and Lincoln memorials in the U.S. Capitol.
He's the landscape architect and the designer of the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial in Washington, D.C.
Even wielding an identical fountain. But saying the square has gone through some changes over the years is an understatement.
The square's looked at 100 different ways over the years.
Going for a more retail look, Halprin's design focused on shopping.
Community leaders back in the 1960s recognized that suburbia and shopping malls were coming, and so they formed the Downtown Springfield Association in 1965, and then they worked with the city to have a urban redevelopment project here on Park Central Square, and that was in 1971. They completely redesigned the square. They brought in Lawrence Halprin.
The thought was that they would make the square more natural, more welcoming, and make it more of a mall-like atmosphere that would allow businesses to remain down here. It didn't work.
The U.S. was changing, especially in terms of travel.
It was determined that you need that vehicular traffic in this day and age, and so they opened up and converted it back from its pedestrian mall in the early 80s.
Sadly, for a time, the square was abandoned.
And then finally in 2010, Springfield received a $3 million federal grant to modernize Lawrence Halprin's model into what you see today.
It provided additional lighting, handicap accessibility, infrastructure for special events. And so since 2011, we've had this new redesigned square.
It opened up the square, knocking down retaining walls that separated traffic from the inner part of the square.
All those things helped bring his design from 1971 into the 21st century.
Now it's resurging, lots of new businesses, lots of activity down here. Of course, with us with the museum and other things, it's breathed new life into it, and we're happy to have it.
Now, when they brought Halprin in, they closed off all the streets to traffic. They put canopies on all the buildings that were here to protect them. They brought in the trees, they brought in the fountain, they also brought in an architect to build the Tumbler sculpture that you see behind me. And in fact, tonight at 5:30, the city is turning this tumbler, which it's what they do every season. So 4 times a year they'll turn it in honor of a new chapter, a new page. So check that out tonight at 5:30.
Oh, Kaylee, that's awesome.
Yes, I've lived here all my life, and I learned some things today. Thank you so much for that info.
Kaylee, and I love all the art, and I don't think I've ever remembered that. I know the tumbler turns, but I didn't know when the schedule was to turn it.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating.
Yeah, so yeah, they turn it 4 times a year every season. And you know, it really does symbolize a new season for us. There is a lot going on in our country right now, so maybe this is a new page and the country can find peace and solace.
I like that analogy.
To congregate.
Yeah, I like that analogy. Thank you so much, Kaylee.
Thanks, Kaylee.
Okay.
See you soon.